All righty, good morning. It's Saturday morning, the 8th of April. Uh, so for this week, I've been trying to do a maintain 70 without really taking a bunch of $2, $3 orders, just taking what I deem as valuable to me to maintain the 70% to keep my top dasher status. I've had 72 orders hit my phone this week, Monday through Friday, and I've accepted 54 of them. I did have about 27 for the weekend before in April, so but I'm not counting that in this little experiment here. So right now I'm sitting at 75%. And it also kind of leads me into the rolling 100, where you see a lot of people give you some bad information about how that actually works, and so just to kind of clarify it in my way, you have the rolling 100 gives you a percentage of what your acceptance rate is. And the really thing is, just remove the percentage and then just think, okay, like mine is 75, right now for these 5 days. So I have 75 acceptances out of the last 100 that I have. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you, oh, it don't jump, it jumps this much, it jumps that much, it doesn't quite jump, or whatever, or once you get to 50, it just doesn't do anything. And here's the thing: if you have a low acceptance rate of, say, 10, 15%, whatever, you only have 10 or 15 acceptances in the last 100. So at some point, you're going to see continued jumps with every acceptance if you do multiple ones in a row. And that all really depends on where your first, number one slot is accepted decline. So it just, unless you're keeping track of that individually to know exactly where you've accepted or declined stuff, you just have to continue to work or set a point where you're at, saying, okay, this is where I'm at today. I'm going to do 100, and then I'm going to do 7 out of every 10, or whatever the case may be. And then once you hit, if you only did 10 accept or 10 orders per day that hit your phone, and you accepted 7 of them in 10 days, you are going to have a 70% acceptance rate, plain and simple. So don't, it's just kind of weird. Just, I wouldn't really concern myself too much with the percentage until you need to get down to in crunch time. But hopefully the videos that I've done, and I've tried to take screenshots of everything and show you and stuff, and and I would say that when I went back to check everything out, my per mile uh, amount is $1.77, for the orders that I've taken, so it's not too bad. I also feel that in my area, because it is quite rural, that I will probably take a little longer trips, just because that's the way it is. But I've been working around McDonald's at some point, just McDonald's in Cleveland. So I may try to do a little experiment of just taking high paying orders out of Cleveland, and I might do that next week or something, just to see if can I actually make enough or get enough orders to, make it worthwhile just hanging out there and taking orders. Because, I did, at one point I had 4 orders that made like $27, and I did that in 30 minutes. So, that wasn't too bad. But anyway, there are a few people online that I do watch and stuff, and I think one of the big issues that I have is listening to a lot of people, and especially cherry pickers, which I don't really care how you dash, you do you. My issue is you come on and you act like, oh, this is DoorDash and it sucks or whatever. But the fact is, you're multi-apping or you're doing this, you're not really just door dashing. So you really don't have enough information to quantify and say something about DoorDash in particular over a set period of time. Pedro DoorDash, Mr. Bet on You, I was about ready to stop watching him. Then he kind of flipped the switch and said, he's going to start giving facts and stuff. And his stuff is, for me, has gotten a lot better. And I think that you can always take tips and tricks from people, in a sense that there are things that will work in every market. One of the things that he does is, you know, talks about where is it putting you. So, for me, I'd start out in a small town because I got 3 towns that are really close to each other and I can interact with them. But my zone is one big zone basically of the entire county. But so I may take an offer in Joshua, that looks, not as great as what could, and there's a few of them in there that I've started out. Most likely, for some reason, I hit a Starbucks right off the bat for some reason in the morning. So it may be a $11 Starbucks for 15 miles, or it might, something, but it puts me right in the hot zone where I get a lot of the priority high pay orders that will balance that out. And old school, I do like to start the morning out and put some money on the table. So generally my first order is not going to be the greatest order I take for sure, but I try to make sure it's an okay order. And especially if I'm going to Cleburne and I'm driving it, I'm going to make money while I'm driving it. That just makes sense. Whether it's $8 for 10 miles, $12 for 15 miles or whatever, it's making money. And I'm headed that way anyway. I really enjoyed the series with Dasher, Trader, and Pedro, where, I think we all see, if you really watch them, that the acceptance rates does matter as far as what you're getting orders. So I can say that for me, I think that's part of the reason, because as of today for April, I have taken 0 no-tip orders. All my orders I've taken had tips. But I realize that you can dash or do gig work. I won't say dash because everybody assumes that's just DoorDash. You can do gig work multiple ways. If one of them is running multiple apps, that's fine. I personally only do DoorDash because the others are not really great here, but I also just don't want to fiddle with having multiple apps and stuff. That's just not my style. Dasher Binge, I like him. He does some pretty good stuff. So, and again, there are things that you can take from everybody, and there are things that can apply regardless of how you dash. You just have to apply them in the correct way. And one of the things that for me, and I put this up in one of the videos, is I get about 20 miles a gallon with my truck. So I know, and gas has been hanging around $3. It went up a little bit, $3.30 I think was the last time I looked at it. But it's been about 15 cents a mile. So I know that for every mile that I have, it's cost me 15 cents to drive. That's something I know. There are areas in my zone, depending on where I'm at, where I'm picking up from, where I go, particularly 2 other cities, Godley and Alvarado, which are kind of, I would say east and west, that it may tell me it's 10 miles, but there's shortcuts that I know that will take 4 miles off each way. So sometimes, although the app shows the miles to be a little bit more, sometimes they're really not. I mean, and I did one video where there was a couple of McDonald's orders that I did, and they were actually 2 of them were to basically the same place. It's a plaza center, or a little shopping center or whatever, and it's basically an L shape, and one was in the corner of the L and the other one was on one end of the L. The one on the end of the L said it was a mile, the one on the corner said it was half a mile, and really in reality they were both a quarter of a mile, at best. It was pull out, go up, go into the deal, because McDonald's are right there. I've also done a couple where, I had a school that's right across from the Starbucks where I delivered to. That was a pretty good order, $8. There was a Days Inn hotel or something that I delivered to that you could take a picture, and I did take a picture of that right from the phone. So there are some things that you can do. My skills at video editing and doing stuff are not great, but I've tried to be honest and tried to put everything in there. So hopefully, the series will be all right, and I'll learn to be better at it and do some more and see what I can do, because I'm kind of interested in this end of it and seeing what happens. So anyway, I do appreciate it. I hope y'all find some good content with this. I hope you enjoy it, and y'all have a great day, and let's get some money.